which brings me to something that you said on national television, which I about just jumped out my seat and was applauding so loudly. You said white America has got to get it together and admit that Jesus Christ was not a blonde surfer. He was Middle Eastern at the very least. He looked like he had the woolly hair, he had a golden caramel complexion. He was Middle Eastern. And until people start acknowledging that, because everything, as with this guy, as what he said, what Dylan Roof said, it's all rooted around the church, right? And if you're praying to this white surfer dude, then yeah, it's easy to explain why these people are a threat. But perhaps if you were praying to someone that looks like the threats that you imagine, maybe this would change. So let's talk a little bit about that that very controversial statement that you said on The View.
What did you?
I
knew I was like, well, I've got to say it or it's going to be trouble. I think that what I say is that we have to, in this country, start with in order to change things, we've got to come to a consensus about the truth. And the truth is that, and I'll get to the Jesus thing. And the truth is that there were people of color, Africans, slaves, who were here before the Mayflower, right? Mm-hmm. Who helped to build the country. And we always celebrate, my ancestors came over on the Mayflower. That is some exalted place to be, a celebrated place to be. But we don't celebrate our ancestors and the people who came over on the slave ships who built the country for free. And so I think that as Americans, we need to teach that in our history books, and therefore you won't get people who run to the Capitol on a lie about who this country belongs to and tries to overturn an election, right? Who starts an insurrection on the Capitol, because perhaps if their thoughts were rooted in truth, they wouldn't come to such a dumb and stupid conclusion. Mm-hmm. Number two is that we have to. People often ask me, how do I start this conversation with my kids and I about racism? And I say, well, here's an easy way. If you are, most people in this country are Christians of some sort, whether it's Baptist or Catholic, what have you, we have religious freedom, so we are free to worship whoever we want in this country. But a big portion of this country, we were founded on Christianity, right? And we have these popular depictions of Jesus all over in every church and in our homes that don't actually look like what Jesus looked like. He didn't look like a surfer carpenter dude, because Bethlehem, as far as I know, is not in Norway or in Sweden. So if you take a brown or a black Jesus, which is what he looked like, we know that he was Jewish, but he was Middle Eastern and looked like a dark Middle Eastern person. And if we put that depiction, the true depiction of Jesus Christ, in our homes or in our schools or wherever it is, and when your kids start to ask you about that, then you can speak to them from a place of truth. And perhaps that is their entree into what the world is really like, rather than paying tribute and homage to a depiction that's not necessarily true, that's based on white. That's when it's not really real.